Hi, my name is Norman and I'm in the middle of something. So rearranging this office space and basically my entire apartment kept me busy a couple of weeks. I'm not done yet, so a few things may feel a little wonky, but yeah, there's one thing I gotta show you. I got this cupboard here from my parents. It's theirs, it was theirs, now it's mine. I did a horrible paint job inside here just to match the furniture color in white, but it looks alright from afar, so it's good for me. Yeah, suddenly out of nowhere, my printers have a new home. But we're not gonna talk about the new home. Today we're gonna talk about the old homes. You guys remember I built these a while ago? Can't remember when. Yeah, they served their purpose well. A friend of mine also does have a 3D printer and he said, yeah, he could make a good use of one of those. So at least not both of them are going to go to the scrap wood pile. And I thought, well, this is also a great opportunity to talk about what was wrong and what was right about these boxes. Because back then, a lot of things seemed plausible or made a lot of sense. But, you know, since then I learned a lot, and probably also a lot of things were actually already mentioned inside the comments. So we're gonna fix those issues before my friend gets his new old box. And hopefully we're not gonna see more issues coming. So the first and most obvious mistake is the wood grain. You can see it goes from back to front. Yeah, I chose to go with this wood grain direction because, well, I didn't think too much about wood grain. I just thought a lot about saving money and have the least amount of offcut. Because the grain is going that way, you can, I don't know if you can notice on camera, but there's a noticeable bend here in the middle, especially where something heavy was on the top. I think they were where my resin printers were on top here. So yeah, unfortunately my table is, but you can see it's not very stable, right? So unfortunately this is something we cannot change with these boxes without rebuilding them from scratch. But if I would build them from scratch again, I would probably have gone with plywood or something, not natural wood, because plywood is, of course, it's like almost uniform when it comes to wood grain direction. Also, the next point, it's sort of related to the wood grain direction, I guess, is that this wood is just, I don't know, it's so soft. That's just, you know, it's not a right angle anymore. You know, this is the wall where the doors were screwed in, and the weight of the doors basically just skewed the entire box. So I guess when going with plywood, you would also have less of that skewing action here. You can tell I noticed it already and tried to, you know, add some triangles here in the front corners to stabilize the skewing. I don't know if it helped a lot, but you know, I tried, so it's something, right? And the last thing is actually the lighting. Not the lighting itself, it actually worked pretty fine, illuminated the entire printer and workspace. That was awesome. The problem was that I fixed them down with hot glue, and these LED strips, they radiate heat. So yeah, if you can count one and one together, they fell off and I fixed them down with screws. Of course not through the light strip, but one screw left and right, and that worked fine. But of course that's not a very nice solution, and I'm very sorry for whoever followed along with the first build and also fixed down his LED strips with hot glue. Well, and the rest actually worked pretty fine. So of course the entire concept of the box worked, so I was able to print ABS and ASA and all that weird stuff. That spool holder here in the front just worked. Only thing I changed here is actually that I added some felt gliders, because the spool was making a lot of noise when it was gliding along the plastic surface. Now with felt gliders it was silent. And of course the hole in the back here also worked, because yeah, it's a hole, what else is gonna happen there, right? So let's just disassemble this box and fix it. So I've disassembled them both, and yeah, you can see there's a slight difference in the light panels here, but that's not important. Important is that now, because we only need one box in the end, we can actually merge those two more or less and end up with more light. So I think what we can do is we can actually take those 30 centimeter segments here, and instead of making a square shape, we can make different lines, up to 8 lines of these things, and it's gonna be really bright then. So we need to remove all those solderings, and it's kind of a bummer because that's a lot of work, but it's gonna be worth it. We're gonna have way more light than before, and it's gonna be good. So as you can see, I only soldered 7 of them together. Well, I could say something very smart, but actually I just hate soldering these LED strips. It's not fun, seriously. So we're gonna have 7 of those. They're gonna make plenty of light. Boom, it's bright. So of course these LED strips, they need a home. So what we're gonna do, we are going to use some of those LED profiles. I had some leftovers, so no extra cost for me here. Yeah, we're gonna cut them down to, well, to length. These things are a little bit longer than the LED strips, so that you won't see that ugly soldering here. So yeah, let's cut it. Well, cutting aluminum is actually pretty easy. And as you already probably thought, I'm going to completely eyeball this. I'm just going to make it flush on this side, and then I'm going to align the saw and pull. So now I have a little notch here. And then we can cut it. See, it doesn't take too long. I think aluminum, and especially these profiles here, they are so pleasant to work with. I know it's not a very forgiving material, you know, you make a dent and you can basically never get it out again, but it's metal and it's soft. It's so nice. So yeah, I'm happy. Let me just get sawdust out, and then we can rinse and repeat until we have 7 of those left. Alright, so now we got 7 of those aluminum profile things, and of course they're gonna go somewhere, right? But here's the thing, you know, of course I could just drill like 2 or 3 holes into each profile and, you know, just screw them into the top. But see, you guys see those metal screws here with the Torx head? Those are actually pretty expensive screws. These are the good ones. So it must be like 20 bucks of metal wear in both of those boxes here. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna print something, right? I printed those rails. They are 24 centimeters long. For one reason, because that's the maximum length I could print on my print bed. Now we have like 31 by 24. I think that makes a nice light panel, doesn't it? Yeah, that way I can fix 7 rails with 6 screws. How cool is that, right? First thing we gotta do is clean up the prints, of course. Well, because this is kind of old PETG, you can see it, we got a lot of stringing, all that, and to clean out the stringing, I took just like the little offcut here and just slide it in And because it has sharp edges, because it's not deburred, you can actually quite effectively clean out the rails. All right, you can tell here how many screws were in there. Like that was kind of nonsense here. Anyway, we have 24 centimeters in this direction and 30 in this direction, so it's pretty straightforward, right? Is it? I don't trust myself anymore. I had to reprint these like 4 times. It's such a simple design, but I had to reprint it 4 times because I kept on measuring wrong, and so yeah, I completely lost the trust in myself. We got exactly 60 centimeters in this direction, 48.2 in this direction. So what we do with this information, I have no idea. So these are 30.5. Yeah, I think we're gonna install these from the outside 15 centimeters, because then we should have like 30 in the middle. If that makes any sense, right? It does make sense. I'm making 3 points because, I don't know, messing up 3 times is a lot less likely than messing up 2 times. I'm taking 3 points and then I'm gonna take the average and hope that it's somewhat alright. Or, yeah. Looks alright to me. Here. Yeah, those were pretty good. So now, in this direction we had 48.2. I'm just gonna go with less actually, because this is the back side. Wait. Yeah, you can see here the wood is a little bit brighter. That's because, well, it got less UV because that's where the back side was sitting on. So if I want to have the light perfectly centered, I need to move it a little bit to the front. That's what I'm re-measuring right now. So we just gonna go with 46.2 minus 24. That's not 24, it's 23.8. Anyway, 24. That makes 22 centimeters. That means 11 centimeters on both sides. So we're gonna make our lives easier a little bit, right? 11 from here, 11 from here. So let's see how it fits, right? Yeah, that works for me. And on the other side, not as good, but it's all right. Let's see if that actually worked, right? So, yeah. Nice. Okay. I'm not sure if we need some glue, but that actually holds pretty nicely. Let's see. All right, we got Phew. I was scared for a very short moment that something didn't work, but it was just the connection on the outside here. Nice. So you guys just gonna be like, Norman, seriously, hot glue again? And I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're right, hot glue again. Hot glue may not be strong enough to hold that thing on the ceiling upside down, but it's definitely gonna be strong enough to hold it in place. Yeah, when the LED strip heats up and the chamber heats up for printing reasons, of course it's gonna get loose, but we're gonna add the plastic cover later and it's not gonna bother us. Until then, we're gonna make sure that it stays where it is, right? So I'm just gonna hot glue it down and make my life a little bit easier. I don't know why the hot glue in the front here is so brown. Maybe it's a little bit burned, I don't know. Yeah, it's starting to come out a little clearer now. So let's see if that actually still works. Great, good news. So last thing to do is I'm gonna add a little bit of hot glue underneath here to prevent it from sliding around, to keep it in place. You may also notice I'm adding it from the back. This is gonna be the back side later. That's why you're less likely to see it unless you're like completely inside the box. All right, yeah, now it doesn't move on its own, at least. So, and last step is, well, cutting the covers to length. I'm just gonna make the quick and dirty version, which is using one of those wire cutters. And you know, just clip it through. It doesn't make a very clean edge, and also, yeah, you're gonna shoot the part through your room. And also it's gonna bend here, the edges around. So that's something you need to keep in mind, but actually you can just, you know, bend them back in. All right, and there are different techniques. Some people just slide them in like so. Oh, you can tell the hot glue isn't very good for keeping that thing in place. What I prefer actually also is just force them in. I don't know, especially when you have longer strips. Sliding in isn't very fun. So here in this corner we still got a loose connection, and see, I mean, as long as you don't move the cable, it should work. And if it doesn't, you know, if the white LEDs die, you still got the RGB LEDs, and of course the remaining 5 strips. I'm not gonna bother too much about fixing that, and I also think that this is actually a loose connection between the soldering pin and the LED, so that's a lot more work to fix that. I probably will have to replace the entire module. Not gonna do that, so it's all right. So now that we got the lighting sorted, let's talk about the next problem, which is rigidity, right? So there are a few ways to tackle that. We're gonna use many of those actually. First, we need to find out which part is going where. This one looks like the back piece. Is it? It's not. Okay, that's the side piece. Yeah, of course. This one here is the back piece. Someone rightfully pointed out in the comments of the original video that I should have used wood glue to give the entire structure a lot more strength. And random stranger, you're right. Wood glue is gonna help. So we're gonna add some glue. I mean, you guys have seen plenty of glue ups probably, maybe, hopefully. Because woodworking videos are actually kind of, I enjoy them. Anyway, so you guys should know how a glue up should work. And then you should know that this is not the way to do it. You should clamp it down, but you know, I don't have clamps, but I have plenty of screws. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna screw them in as is. And then hopefully the screws will clamp the wood together enough to give it a very, very strong bond. Yeah, wood glue. The other side, same but different, right? All right, that's really convenient to have all the holes already pre-drilled because, well, I did that in the last video, right? Nice. Well, the next step for rigidity is actually it's triangles. So you guys remember I printed these and, well, they somewhat maybe probably didn't work. Yeah, I think they were a little bit too small to do something because, well, that wood is pretty soft and those tiny triangles, well, maybe they helped a little bit, but not significantly. So, yeah, of course, that's right. I made bigger triangles. I think you're not supposed to call them triangles anymore. Anyway, it's gonna end up being a triangle. I'm going to add those here in the very front. Those things are also PETG, of course. They are also as big as it can get on my Prusa Mini. Yeah, I know there's like an Anycubic Mega, but it's currently out of order. Prusa Mini, maximum size 24 centimeters from edge to edge. This is the biggest part I was able to print. So before we screw this down, of course, we're gonna make sure that this is a 90-degree angle. But to be honest, it's not. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do to fix that. I think disassembling it and reassembling it actually helped a little bit. It's a lot less worse than it was before, but still it's not a perfect 90-degree angle. It's all right, it's all right. So I think we're just gonna screw that down and prevent it from more skewing, right? Because I don't know how to unskew this thing without breaking it apart, probably. Okay. So honestly, I was thinking about, adding these little braces here into the corners as well, because, well, I already printed them and what else am I supposed to do with them, right? But looking at the box right now, I think it looks really nice. Like, it looks like somebody knew what they were doing. I think adding those tiny ones will just mess up the look and it's not gonna really benefit because they're not gonna do that much with that size. Unfortunately, these ones here will go into the trash. There's no use for me anymore. With these corner braces, it feels a lot sturdier already. It feels like it will stand the test of time. And more important, it will stand the weight of the door. Which leads to my next problem, which I haven't thought about yet. Yeah. Let me show you. The problem is that the entire weight basically of the door pulls on this hinge here because, well, gravity is pulling the front of the door down and that way this thing wants to go away from the wall. This wood is very soft. That's why the screws here actually were coming loose. So I was thinking about making a through hole and, instead of using a screw, I'm going to use a bolt and a nut. That way we're going to have a way more positive hold here in the holes and yeah, it's probably never going to come loose again. But the problem is it's very ugly. Also, you're gonna have holes here on the outside and everywhere. But before we get crazy with all the holes, I was thinking about a different solution, which is, well, instead of using this tiny little screw here, I'm going to go for a larger screw diameter. This should be able to hold on to the wood a little bit better. Also, I'm gonna add some wood glue, just put it into the hole and then screw the screw in. Hopefully that's gonna work, and if not, we can always come back and drill some holes later. First I'm gonna go with the less holy version and then we're gonna add holes in future. Or not, maybe, I don't know. And of course we also have 2 spool holders left. Yeah, I think the best solution is just to put both of them into the box, right? So for the placement, I don't know if you can tell, but here's also a white stain where the original spool holder was. And I think I'm going to keep the placement here because I like that a lot. The second spool, I'm not sure if it's better to have it, further back or further down. Further down makes it a lot more accessible for people, but less accessible for the printer. So because this entire thing is for the printer, I think I'm just gonna add another one here for the back. So before we attach the doors and wrap this up, there's one last thing to do, which is attaching the foam vibration dampener thing in the bottom. If you remember, I had 5 of those for each box, and well, if we would follow current pattern, I would now add 10 to the bottom side of this printer box. But you can see here for my Prusa Minis, I also got some vibration dampeners. I have a MDF slab and a little bit of the same foam underneath them. Actually, there was more foam before, but I cut them down to the same size so that, you know, it's the same size with all the foam pieces here, right? Well, what I noticed is that reducing the foam thing size actually helps with dampening. So my thesis is that when you reduce the contact surface, the foam can vibrate and wiggle better and dampen the vibration instead of having a huge contact surface and then, you know, it's, well, as you remember, I had 5 pieces somewhat here at the bottom, 1 at each corner and 1 in the middle to prevent sagging due to the weight of the printer. But I think we're gonna take a different approach this time. So first of all, we're gonna you know, reduce the size of those pads, and then we're just gonna add some pads in the front and in the back. I'm just going to gamble that the wooden planks are going to be able to support the weight of the printer along its grain direction. And as always, we're gonna use hot glue because that stuff is just so versatile, right? I'm not sure if this new pattern is going to be beneficial for vibration dampening, but I think together with this MDF slab setup, my friend also has the same setup, it's going to be sufficient enough to be to silence the printer. So I'm not concerned anymore. I think that's, I'm actually pretty sure this is going to work. And well, there you have it. It's an upgraded box. So we fixed a few issues we had in the original video. Of course, it's not perfect. I mean, yeah, we still don't have perfect 90 degrees and all that, but you know, it's self-made. It's allowed to be not perfect. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that now the weight of the door is not going to skew the box anymore. Yeah, I mean, only time will tell, but for now, this is a huge upgrade. I love the lighting here in the inside, which you're basically never going to see. But I know it's there, makes me happy. I think that's a very nice box for 3D printers, and my friend, I'm pretty sure he's going to enjoy it, because that way this box is not going to waste, and that's pretty cool. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and of course, if you have more improvements for making this box even better, please post them down below in the comments. I mean, yeah, I don't feel like making a third video about it, but for any other person coming in the future, it may help them, you know. So if you have something to share it, of course. Thanks, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.